Welcome back. Our discussion is coming up in a moment, but first, joining us by Skype is State Senator Jeff Brandes of St. Petersburg, who is sponsoring the legislation to create statewide rules for transportation network companies like Uber and Lyft. Senator, thanks for joining us. What do you hope to accomplish by this bill?
So our goal is that we have a statewide regulation. We have over 100 million tourists that come to the state every year. We think that they want seamless transportation options no matter where they are in the state. And so with our legislation, once it passes, whether you get in an Uber or a Lyft in Key West or Sarasota or the Panhandle, you'll know that you'll have the same level of insurance, the same background checks that have taken place.
You know, the taxi industry has raised some questions about whether the background checks are sufficient enough, or at least as much that taxi cab drivers have to go through. How would you respond to them?
In many areas of the state, they'll be more stringent than what they're currently requiring. I think it's important to realize that this level of background check is what has really become the industry standard around the country. Many other states have adopted this level of background check, and so we're just adopting the industry standard as the standard in Florida.
What is the problem associated with the fact that, for instance, in Sarasota County, there are no regulations? In Hillsborough County, there are, but they're not really being enforced.
Well, I think the challenge is I live in Pinellas County. We have 24 different cities. Under our rules today, every city could have a different regulatory structure, different insurance requirements, different background checks. And then if you wanted to go into Hillsborough County, you would find yourself in another regulatory structure. So I think the time for a standardized regulatory structure is upon us. I think, frankly, citizens want it. I think our tourists deserve this type of access. And business travelers are requiring this type of seamless transportation access, and that's what we're looking to provide.
Would this preclude local municipalities from adding any of their own type of regulations? For instance, I see that some would like Uber drivers and Lyft drivers to contribute to the upkeep of roads and bridges.
Well, I think they contribute to the upkeep of roads and bridges because they pay the gas tax, more so than a handful of them paying some small amount of dollars as a licensing fee in their communities. I think the challenge with doing these one-off licensing fees is that it would be incredibly expensive to operate a business across city lines or county lines if in every city you have to have a separate business license.
Finally, you have introduced legislation like this in previous sessions. What is different now that leads you to believe there is a better chance to get this passed?
So we've been able to consistently get this bill through the Florida House, and now we have a brand new Florida Senate. We have 20 new senators this year, and we have a new Senate leadership that has a very different vision for this issue than our last Senate leadership. So we're excited. This is the year. We would expect this to be passed off the floor of the Senate in the first couple of weeks of the session.
And finally, also, what do you think, or how do you think that this will benefit riders of both Uber, Lyft, and actually taxi services around the state?
So I think the major benefit for us is that we're moving into this shared economy and we're providing seamless transportation options. I think at the end of the day, these didn't even exist 6 years ago, and they've kind of swept over Florida, and we are seeing so many more opportunities for cities partnerships, for partnerships with mass transit, and frankly, in some areas, this becoming the mass transit option for those communities. So I think it really shows that the options are really opening up to Floridians with this new type of technology and seamless transportation options.
All right, Senator Jeff Brandes, thank you very much for joining us from St. Petersburg tonight.